Today is Wednesday, August 5th, 2020, and this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. Again, a couple seconds here. Better citizens, we need to be more active in, talking to each other and ferreting out the truth. That's part of today's show. We'll talk about that in a second. But we've got to do a better job being citizens. And I'm not talking about spending 40 hours a week, but yes, a handful of hours a month. Yeah. A handful of hours a month, talking to each other, listening to our politicians, trying to ferret out the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against about these issues, not just blindly, following somebody because, we like them or we, generally like what they say, because the truth is complex. Doesn't fit in 4 words on a hat or a bumper sticker. And there's always, even I've said many times, even for eating a bowl of ice cream, there's pro and con, good and bad, for and against. Well, today's show is called Hypocrisy. And there's 2 different things I want to talk about that, unfortunately, again, our president, Mr. Trump, is doing a couple of different things that we need to be aware of. Again, if you're going to be a good citizen, you need to be aware. Okay, open your eyes and your ears and your mouth and talk to other people, but at least open your eyes and your ears and be aware of some of these things. And there's a couple of big ones that I want to talk about. So one is that Mr. Trump has been making a lot of noise publicly about absentee ballots and mail-in ballots, and the fact that in this coronavirus environment, there are many people encouraging voters, including me, by the way. I encourage you to get hold of absentee ballots, mail-in ballots. Get a hold of them and use them. You should vote. And one of the safest and best and most authentic ways to vote is to fill in a ballot, seal it in the provided envelope, have a person known to you that knows you, say, yep, he filled in the ballot. I don't know what he put on there, or she. I don't know what she put on there, but I watched. They marked something, then they folded the ballot, they stuck it in the envelope, they sealed it, and I certify that I saw them do this thing, and here it is. Here's my name and address and phone number if you need to contact me and validate that I did this. Okay. And people, this is a very robust way. And in fact, many states around the country have been using mail-in ballot kinds of things for years, very, very effectively and very accurately. Okay, I think one of the articles I read said the state of Utah for years has done mail-in ballots, and the preponderance of voting has happened, and the occurrence or the level of fraud or whatever has been minuscule, and so there it is. But anyway, the hypocrisy here is, and the title of the show is Hypocrisy. The hypocrisy here is that Mr. Trump has been talking in public and tweeting in public. It's going to be the most fraudulent vote ever of all time, and you cannot trust any of it. And absentee ballots and mail-in ballots are fraudulent, and we can't allow this to occur. But when he's actually sending emails and text messages to people that have been supporters of his, he and his family and his campaign manager and many others that are supportive of getting Mr. Trump reelected have been saying, please mail in your votes, get an absentee ballot. So there's this thing where he's talking about it in public like it's going to be this huge fraudulent thing, but behind the scenes, he's encouraging everyone that might want to vote for him or he thinks might want to vote for him to do exactly what he says is going to be fraudulent. Okay? And the reason why he's making all the big public statements around the mail being fraudulent is because there's now a pretty significant probability that he's going to lose the election. That when the votes are tallied in early November, he's not going to win. He's not going to win the popular vote, and he's not going to win the Electoral College. There are going to be many states, apparently, that are going to swing away from him. They're tired of, Donald Trump winning. In fact, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions at this point, of Republicans actively campaigning against him, led by organizations like the Lincoln Project. Now, these, for example, the Lincoln Project, this is the core people that run that website and that organization. A dozen of them or so, they have been dyed-in-the-wool, lifelong Republicans that have worked to try to get Ronald Reagan and John McCain and the Bush presidents and on and on and on. Ronald, it's just all of these Republicans. They've worked their entire lives for the Republican Party to get Republicans elected, and they are adamant that Donald Trump does not represent them, does not represent the Republican Party, that there are many people now that are in the Republican Party, like Mitch McConnell and others, that do not, represent that conservative, appropriate, philosophy, and so they're working hard to get rid of these people because they know that this does not represent them. But anyway, and they, of course, all would say, yes, please mail in your votes unless you're going to support Mr. Trump. And then we just assume you didn't. Not because it's fraudulent, but because we don't want Mr. Trump to be president of the United States anymore. Okay? So that's one thing, one part of the hypocrisy here. That's a major thing. And the only way that you, as a citizen of the United States, are going to understand that is if you open your eyes and open your ears and talk to people and read different sources of information. And I think if you do, you'll come to the same conclusion that I have, which is mail-in and absentee voting is a good thing, especially in this coronavirus environment. It's going to be a safe, accurate way of collecting the votes. And we need to pursue that because it's going to be, convenient, accurate, and safe. Yes. Why wouldn't we do that? Okay. Then the second part is there's this ongoing, and I printed off one of them just so you could see what this looks like. But so Mr. Trump, of course, he tweets all the time, and he tweets and he tweets and he tweets, and he's got guys like Lou Dobbs and can't remember his first name, but Hanratty and a couple of other guys on Fox News. And because he calls their shows all the time, and they like, the fact that, hey, I have the President of the United States calling me, okay? They're into that kind of stuff. They, there's this recycling. This is the thing that I want to point out. And again, if you're not paying attention, if you're not opening your eyes and listening and paying attention, you don't get the fact that, okay, for example, this first tweet, okay, Donald Trump has retweeted Lou Dobbs, and Lou Dobbs said, record-setting enthusiasm. President says he thinks he has more support than ever. So Mr. Dobbs interviewed the president. The president said that the president thinks that he has more support than ever. He's not provided any data or anything like that. He just says, I think I have more support than ever. Mr. Dobbs tweets that, okay? Doesn't question it or anything. And then the president takes that and retweets it as if it's fact. And so you have this recycle of this thing, okay, where the president says something, and very often without basis in fact, but he just says it, and then his agents at Fox News and others will take that information, state it, do nothing to contradict it or research it or anything. They just state it, and then Trump sees that and retweets it. And it's like a validation kind of thing for people that aren't opening their eyes or opening their ears and paying attention. Another one on reopening our schools. Donald Trump says, again, this is Lou Dobbs, says schools will begin to open rapidly and safely, despite what some Dem leaders are trying to keep them closed. Okay? Well, yeah, there are some Dem leaders that are trying to keep them closed. That's true. There's always some of somebody somewhere. But the point here is the recycle. Okay? So Donald Trump says the schools will begin to open rapidly and safely. So Lou Dobbs takes that statement, puts it in a tweet, and then the president then takes Lou Dobbs' tweeting of the president's statement, tweets it again, and now it's like this self-reinforced thing, but it's not. It's just the original statement of the president, but yet if you again aren't opening your eyes, opening your ears, paying attention, you're going to think that somehow, some way, there's greater certification, greater validity that the schools are going to open safely. Okay? So, the whole point behind the show, hypocrisy, we have to do a great job ferreting out the truth, the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against. And you have to, it takes some time. You have to do it. And yes, you're going to get frustrated sometimes. And yes, it's more difficult. You got to think. Okay? But that's it. That's the life. That's where we are in this world at this moment. And that's why I'm doing the show. One of the many reasons why I do the show is to encourage you to do exactly that. So for the Pro and Con Show, I'm Michael James Ott. Until the next show, bye for now.